Okay, let me share my screen. Quick start running, blah blah. Can you see my screen now? Hey George,
Yes,
can you see my screen now?
yes, I can.
Okay, perfect. So, just for the record, today probably we were not gonna spend 2 hours because we have not achieved anything. But we have to stay on the loop and we have to be persistent. There is no other way. I was thinking like it's like launching a rocket to a Mars. You have to solve a problem which nobody else have solved before. So it's normal that we spend more times, more time. So I end up trying everything what I could, and I broke the application. Thanks God we have the source control management system, which allows me actually to bring the things back. I even didn't use this ability. What I did is I used the zip file which I sent you, the archive which I sent you. So at least I got the application running. But as you can see already, I have tabs open from our last meeting, and they haven't moved. I tried everything, but we definitely will find a solution. Definitely. So I may show you also the I want to share some information with you. So there is no other way around it, as I see, but read all these books. Can you hear me, by the way?
Yep, yep.
Okay. So we'll read our Bibles again. I started reading again the Bible about the .NET microservices architecture, blah blah. So Identity Server book. I was thinking that we will go away just by doing the tutorials. Obviously, it's not gonna happen. I would have read all the documentation or read the PDF file. The documentation on the website actually reflects exactly what is written on the book. But each one of the books is, as you can guess, it's 200 pages, 236. Kubernetes up and running, Kubernetes patterns. So I'm willing to read all this to solve this issue. And each one is 200 pages, so 4 books, it's about 800 pages to read. Maybe I will hold that, I'll figure out and I will find the solution. You also can read these books. I can share with you these books. Actually, you have the first one, Identity Server. You can download from Identity Server if you like. Kubernetes is not that helpful for you in this case, but we have to read at least the book for Identity Server or the documentation of Identity Server. I share with you all these links, and as you can see, they still stay open on my in my browser. Uh, to be honest, I have been kept busy with a lot of uh, other things. You know how it is. The first thing is just to earn money somehow. So at the university, a lot of students, a lot of exams, a lot of part-time students, whatever. So this is not an excuse. We shouldn't be making excuses, but I know that you're also working. The most important is stay in the loop. That's it. If you give up, nothing's gonna happen. But as I said, we're looking for something which nobody else or we don't know the guy who has done it. So we have to do it. As you said in one of our conversations actually, you have the feeling that we're very close. I have the same feeling. We are very close. Around every corner, I'm expecting to find a solution. By the way, I try to do the very same project. I did the very same project separately from scratch, and I came to a different results, which just makes the things even worse because you have to get, at least in a digital era, we have to get the same results. But this is where we are right now. So look at this, the configuration of our identity server. Look, this is the client, MVC. This is our client which tries to communicate with our identity server. We have the secret, which is called secret. This is the password for our MVC client. You understand that the client actually is the entire application, our MVC application, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So our client is known on ID server as MVC, is gonna use this username, is gonna use secret. Actually, this is into the configuration as far as I remember. Yeah, here we go. MVC is the startup and the secret. This is given to our MVC, and it says that it requires code. It requires a front channel and a back channel at the same time. And look at here now. Redirect your eyes in identity server. Maybe we should change something like that. Okay, so let me run the application. Maybe the biggest achievement this week, it doesn't matter, I read so much information, is one plugin for Chrome which shows me at least the JSON in a proper format. Otherwise, we were looking at gibberish. So I'm gonna show you that.
Also, I want to mention that um, you maybe know it. I'm just mentioning it if you don't know it. We don't have access to internet with first identity server because maybe you remember your maybe the host the identity server remember your password, but if you try to connect with Google right now, you see you don't have the identity server don't have internet connection, and that's why I send you that picture that I've ping internet from identity server, and I find out we can ping, but we cannot receive back.
Yeah,
I don't know if this is something, but I just want to mention it.
yeah,
You don't have
absolutely.
access to
Yeah,
internet.
absolutely. I totally agree. By the way, have you been able to run the project on your machine?
Yeah, on both machines. Yeah,
So on localhost 5001, you got this, which
yeah, same.
is, even though it's crippled, it's partially crippled. I shouldn't call it crippled because actually identity server works fine, as you can see. So now yeah, today we are gonna brainstorm. This is what we are gonna do. See, what I found is one, as I said, a plugin, a Chrome add-on, which actually allows me to turn this gibberish to something which is more human readable. Those are the endpoints of our identity server. Each STS security token server service actually by convention, which comes from OAuth 2.0 and OpenID Connect, should explain all these endpoints. On the left, these are standard. So every server, if we know the STS of Facebook or Google, we should ask it. And also the URL is standard as well. So well-known OpenID configuration. And on the left, these terms are the same for each one of the STSs. Doesn't matter, it comes from Google or whatever. So maybe this is something which we have to look at. I don't know. I'm just brainstorming right now. I'm just thinking loudly. And the second thing, actually, maybe I should put it on the first place, is the DNS server. As you mentioned, yeah, I'm glad that you brought this to the conversation because otherwise I would forget. Yeah, something is happening with the DNS server. I know how to run a DNS server as a container. So probably we should be running a DNS server as a separate container inside of the Docker network. And this DNS server actually will be responsible for resolving the domain names. I don't know, I'm just thinking loudly. On another hand, on another hand, uh, what I can do, and probably you should do it as well. I don't know, I'm just throwing ideas. You go your way, I will go my way. and we will meet next week and try again, and we will try again, and we will try again until we crack this nut. Do you understand?
Yeah, I agree.
Because there is no other way. I was thinking for other things we can do. Unfortunately, we cannot do anything if you think about it. I want these services to be in a Docker containers. I even try with um, making Docker containers for the rest of the services, hoping that something is gonna happen. Maybe something, I will come up with something. No, I couldn't come up with something. I faced a lot of problems, like course problem. This cross origin, blah blah, whatever. This is another problem because right now our identity server resides on one IP address in a Docker network. Another service is on another IP address, and you're not even allowed to do this cross origin because there is a policy about the AJAX requests. I'm talking about the JavaScript which is or front end which is trying to use resources on another domain. There is a policy which says that AJAX you cannot do asynchronous communication with a service which is on another domain. They should be on the same domain. This is called um, cross-origin policy or something like that, just to prevent malicious communication in this kind of stuff. So our identity server, I messed it up. I added so many things just to allow this cross-origin communication, and at the end, the project just didn't work. So I have been able to go back. I'm just throwing ideas. Um, at one moment, we'll figure out what to do. Another thing which I want to share with you is that for the modern applications actually, you don't even have to code anymore. And I want to show you a deployment which we are trying to do right now with a marketplace. Maybe this is going to be useful for you. And those are Indians. This company is an Indian company with branches in the States. It's called Triangolo or something like that, but it's a not multi, but it's a marketplace. You understand the idea. It's like classifieds. You go and put your advertisement about selling your bike. Everybody can go there and do that. Do you follow me?
Yeah, yeah, like eBay.
Like
Something.
eBay, exactly. And these guys or or this is they claim that this is a clone of Let Go. So my partners decided that they want to go this route. They want to go this way. And we bought the software. They claim that they're going to give us the source code. Is over than $3,000 their service. But look how their application looks. It has nothing to do with C Sharp. I'm just throwing ideas right now, sharing things which I have been gathering this week. You have to put your email address in order for them to install this application for you, because this application consists of two mobile apps, one for iPhone, another one for Android, web interface. So you have a website where you can go and publish um, your advertisement, or you can install their application, which is going to be our application now. Me and my partners install it on your Android or iPhone. You can start taking pictures and publishing them like OLX in Bulgaria. Maybe you're familiar with this company,
Yeah, yeah.
okay, or eBay. So, and look how this is a cloud native, I would call it this way, cloud native application. On top of that is distributed. It doesn't use Docker containers. But notice something. Let me explain you something. They say, okay, give us the DNS server. That's not a problem. DNS server, you understand. You go somewhere to the hosting companies, for example, you register a domain name, and domain name actually links The DNS server links the domain name to the IP address where your application is hosted, right? That's not something special. Server credentials, they need access to your server to put your application. I suspect they said that their application is Node.js. Node.js with React. React is just front end. So what they have is only front ends. They have a web front end. I will call it this way, web. They have two mobile applications, and those are only presentation layers. I'm not even sure that I'm gonna publish this conversation, but again, make it unlisted so nobody else, instead of both of us, can find it. This is iPhone application, and this is Android. You follow me so far, right?
Yeah.
Okay, for the web, you need SSL certificate. Amazon Web Services can issue SSL. There are a lot. Actually, the free one is let's encrypt. I think it's the one I'm using. So you have to give them the SSL bundles for the web, because for the web, what you need is you need a server which is gonna serve the page to the client, and after that, the client actually is gonna communicate with another backend where all services are located. So this server is simply to deliver the front end. You understand that?
Yeah.
Okay. So I will continue further. Look, create Apple account. This is in order to be able to push your mobile application to Apple. I believe I have the source code, so I will look at, but I believe it's Swift. Maybe it's a Swift. This is the native language for the applications, but we can do the same with Xamarin. Xamarin is a cross-platform mobile development stack for C Sharp. Enroll Apple account. It doesn't matter how you create your Apple application. You have to sign to Apple, apply for ID, video reference document, relay Apple enroll, Apple Store account access user role. Here we go. This is their company. I found them. So this is one of the things which they have been bothering me. Check your browser access in triangle. DDoS protection by Cloudflare. Okay, obviously their server is on Cloudflare, but whatever. So I'll continue my blah blah. Okay, so Apple Store account access user role. They want to give them access to your Apple account so they can push the application. Follow the steps to access Facebook. Okay, you already did that actually. I remember that you created a client. This is exactly what they're doing. You create a client on the Facebook. They will create a client for you on the Facebook. I'm just showing you that they haven't done almost any coding and they have a such system. Google Cloud account access. Again, give them access to your Google Cloud account so they can set up everything. Those are the interfaces which they set up. Map JavaScript API for enable maps, places. In other words, what I want to say is that you don't need coding experience at all, actually, to build application already. Everything is glued together. It's amalgamated. If you know which services to put together, you can build application without almost any coding knowledge. Gmail SMTP. This is obviously to redirect the emails, send the emails to the clients. And I think this is the most important, Firebase account. Firebase is a bus. This one is a backend as a service, and it offers, guess what? OpenID Connect, OAuth2, MongoDB, and whatever your application may need actually. So all you have to do is build your mobile application or your um, front page web application or your Android application and communicate with this one, with this bus, backend as a service. So I bet these guys actually have been smart enough to get $3,000 for almost nothing. They know how to put together all these services and create of this two mobile applications. Of course, for the mobile applications, they need a little bit coding. For the web application, they need a little bit coding. For this also, they need. In the world of C Sharp, this could be replaced by Blazor. They did it with React, and just for serving the page, they need a server. It's a single page application. They need a server where the application resides and supplies the user with the HTML and CSS and the JavaScript which is necessary to communicate with this bus, backend as a service. With Xamarin, we can build, with one code base, we can build iPhone mobile application and also the Android application. Right now they use native Kotlin probably for or Java. They say Java with XML. This is the native way you build the Android applications, and here probably they use Swift. This is what I wanted to mention. It sounds to me very interesting and very encouraging because as they say, don't teach me the old way, the old ways of doing programming and your programs. Now, as you can see, to be a software engineer and build a solution, because it's not anymore a program, to build a solution, all you need is just to know good enough the services which are available for you. That's all. Um, Triangle.com. Okay, I hope this guy didn't declare bankruptcy because we just paid the money. Okay. Anyway, so this was something interesting. Is that sound interesting to you?
Yeah, yeah. Uh,
So, believe or not, we are almost ready to build something like that. As you can see, it's a distributed system because it's using the regular services which are offered by different cloud providers, as you can see. Facebook they need for the social login, so the people can log in with their Google account, with their Facebook account, or they can register on the Firebase. Firebase, it's worth looking Firebase and knowing about that. Last year, or probably 2 years ago, um, I have built a mobile application without any server, so it's called serverless. You know about that. So we are talking about the serverless service-oriented architecture, and Firebase plays the role of the backend. Anyway, we have been taking another way right now because we still should be able to build such services which Google and Facebook offers. We're deep into the shit, as they say, deep in the shit. So now I want to share just some thoughts about this. Uh, Let me run again the application right now. You remember what we have. We have STS in the face of IdentityServer4 security token service. By the way, Firebase offers you exactly that. It offers you as a part of the package. Firebase has STS, security token service. It has MongoDB and what else? So they have other things. If you're interested, go and look at Firebase. You also can create application very easy. And all you need is just the presentation layer, something to communicate with the backend, which can be built with JavaScript or Xamarin, as I said, or in our case with Blazor or whatever. So right now we are building something like a Firebase. ourselves. We are preparing now STS, and API actually can play the role of the Mongo. Behind this API, of course, can stay Mongo or another database. So those are only thoughts. So let me start again, Docker. I'm not gonna waste your time too much. We will continue reading and we will continue searching.
While you were talking about Firebase, and you say these guys put everything together, and then I remember a year ago in network, my teacher said to put everything together for network, you need DHCP server. We may, I don't know, and I remember how we set up the DHCP server in that time. It was with one program called Cisco Packet Tracker. It's very easy to simulate DHCP, but I was wondering if there is any DHCP we can run in containers, and
Yes,
it
probably
may help
yes.
us connect our applications, if
Yeah.
DHCP is assigning and connecting um, actually computers, and I don't know, it's just thoughts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally agree. As I said, I know how to run DNS server, but you're talking about, let me type this, THCP, you said.
DHCP.
Ah, DHCP, Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol.
Yes.
Yeah, Dynamic Host. Actually, I strongly believe that in the Docker network, behind the scene, there is a DHCP server for sure. There is no other way around it. Because what are the Docker containers? They're virtual machines, and they're asking actually for IP addresses, and somebody needs to give them this. So we can go this direction. I have to dig in Docker as well because we have to dig actually in Docker. Read whatever you find. Thank you for sending me the link. I'm gonna read again. We will meet next week and we will see where we at.
Yeah.
And when we get too much frustrated, we'll see what we are gonna do. But right now, let's crack this nut. I'm sure we will. I'm sure because the proof is the fact that Microsoft provides us with applications. So what I'm planning to do maybe this week is, if I don't come up with something else, is try to replicate the example application from our initial book. We started with one book, if you remember, um, microservices, right?
Yeah. I've read one article last week um, where a guy said he had same problem, and he said he read in same book how they assign this thing. So it might be inside the book.
Yes, it might be inside the book, but I read the entire book, of course, months ago, and now I'm going to reread it again and try to figure out what is going on. It's going to take time. I'm sure we'll find a solution because the solution is in front of our noses. Microsoft actually has it somehow. And if you run their application, you'll see that the URL here, it's very, very strange. It says something like docker.win local host, but it takes extremely huge amount of time simply because running so many containers on my computer, it takes huge amount of time. Just going back and forth between their project and my project, it takes me a lot of time, maybe some hours, because when I run their application, I after that and on top of that, I don't have enough space on my machine. So I have to remove all the images which they have created. They create a lot of images, a lot of volumes, a lot of Docker containers, and starting the application, removing the application, running back to my application, to our application, and some kind of a port. So this is the URL of their identity server. which is very, very interesting. Do you know? So they have found the idea. They have found when you go to their front end MVC application, when you click login, you get to this IP address, and after that you get error. I don't know what kind of an error. I don't want to fix the errors as well. But at least the MVC somehow it's able to resolve the IP address and can go there, can go to this strange domain name, which of course it's something internal. It's something which somehow it's resolvable. I don't know on my machine or on the Docker.
I may try to run it today because I have a lot of RAM. I have
Yeah,
64.
try to run their original application, click on the login, and you will be redirected to their identity server, which is identical with ours. And so I'm planning to read, as I said, I have them open already the entire week. I'm not closing my tabs until I don't crack this nut. So I'm planning to read this book. I'm planning to read Identity Server book, which is the same like going to the web and reading their documentation. This Kubernetes stays on my open here already 1 month. This is for another project, but it's very related because at the end of the road we will put everything in Kubernetes. Right now, for orchestration, we are using Docker containers, Docker Compose. But when we have to put it on the production on the server which resides beside me right now, I'm gonna put it on the Kubernetes. And all this actually has to go to Kubernetes cluster because this is the final goal. So this is gonna be next step. But as I said, I haven't been able to find something. So ours right now is on localhost 5001. It works. At least I can see here the endpoints. As I said, they are standard. These terms on the left are standard for the protocol, for the OpenID Connect. Those are standard terms. On the right, every server decides what is its endpoint, right? That's absolutely normal. The scopes, here we go. We are protecting this API. The rest are standard scopes. Scopes are resources, actually. In fact, the resources which the STS protects. Claim supported, this is something family name, update up. As I can see here is what you can claim, actually. Grant type supported, authorization code, client credentials. We have to read even deeper. Maybe I have to dig deep into Open OAuth 2.0. That's why we spend so much time on Nate Barbettini explaining OAuth 2, but we we didn't go too deep into this rabbit hole. So we'll go in the dark places now, right now, to find the diamonds. Okay. What else can I share with you? That I feel a little bit frustrated because I cannot, but at the same time, I'm excited, very excited because right now uh, we're in the real deal. Now we are developing, we're finding something. Read.
What do you think about that our identity server can't reach internet? If you go back now and click to log in, click here to see the claims for your current season. Yes, there. And if you click Google, now you click to log in, and you will see that you cannot log in. What do you think about it?
Oh my God, yeah. There is a problem, something wrong with the DNS, that's for sure.
So we should look at DNS server as well. I'm just, looking forward to what I can look at, and
Yes. What kind of a DNS server do they have in Docker? What kind of a DHCP server do they have in Docker? And all this is discussed in the Docker documentation. I don't know where to read, do you know? I have
Can we
no idea.
set up like custom network for because we are using like default network at the minute.
Yes, maybe we should run I should run probably my own DHCP DNS server on my local machine. I can do that and point all the Docker containers, because there is a way actually to set up the Docker container DNS server, to tell the Docker container, okay, guy, you're gonna use this DNS server, right? So probably I should run my own DNS server either on my local machine or run it as a Docker container inside of the Docker network and have this DNS server resolve the problem. This is definitely a DNS problem.
Because this maybe now we are seeing the limit of where our limits are in the container, because you can't get out of that container with your identity server, and if you can't get it, then MVC client can communicate with your identity server if we get out of this bubble and connect to internet with
Exactly.
identity server.
I also feel it like a bubble. It's good thing that you mentioned, because this is our bubble where our Docker containers are. We have here MVC, we have here identity, and it seems to me they don't know anything about the outside world.
Yeah,
This is the problem. And they definitely have a DHCP, that I'm glad you mentioned, DHCP, and they definitely have a DNS server here inside, because each one of these virtual machines actually is getting IP address.
yeah. You're getting IP address every time.
Yes, and also this DNS server, I believe they have DNS server inside of Docker, so probably we should read the documentation of of Docker. Maybe this is a clue. When they try to communicate to each other by host name, they have to be hit a DNS server, which resolves actually the host name to an IP address and tells this identity, for example, where the MVC client is, right?
Yeah,
So we definitely have to concentrate on the DNS server inside of a Docker. And this DNS server doesn't know anything. It doesn't communicate with outside world. I'm not even sure that there is a DNS server. Maybe there is a static list here instead of a DNS server. This is a host file, remember?
yes,
Because each server, each computer actually, each operating system does first the following. First hits the host's file, which resides inside, and looks for the IP addresses and host names or domain names. This is actually how we hack sometimes. Sometimes uh, it says here 001, it says localhost, right?
yeah,
So each computer has such a host file first, and after that, when it exhausts this host file, it turns to the DNS server and asks, okay, give me the IP address of somebody which is called stoyan.com. And then the DNS server, if it doesn't know who this is, communicates with another DNS server and so on and so forth. Usually they have into their cache the IP address and they immediately respond. Right now, in this bubble, we cannot go outside of this bubble. I bet
yeah.
that if I log in right now into one of my containers, you know how to do that probably. If not, look at this now. I'm gonna show you. So let's say this is my identity server, right? Do you see it?
Yes.
Okay, so this is my container with the identity server, right? So I will say docker exec interactive. Gonna mention the container. Now I'm gonna log in into this virtual machine. Docker container is nothing else but a virtual machine. Special virtual machine, that's it. I'm gonna say bash bin bash bin bash. And look this, I'm inside. Now I'm into the Docker container. And I'm not sure that they have pink.
They have. They should have.
I don't know. Pink is not found. See,
Uh,
this is specific for the Docker containers. Everything is cut to the bone.
oh wow, yeah, we have to like install it to have it.
Yeah. If you want to have it, right now I have to, they don't even have apt get. Oh, they have it. So if I like, at least the package manager is there. I can install pink, but I'm not gonna go this way. So maybe I can enter another container. Maybe
Can
in,
you ping? Can you ping from one container other container? Now.
of course, not a problem. It's a virtual network. What happens is actually Docker creates infrastructure. Into this infrastructure, what you need for the infrastructure to have a network, so Docker creates a network. You have virtual hosts, which are MVC, identity server, MS SQL server in our case. What else? You need uh, storage, which is provided by volumes, persistent storage, if you like, and images. This is the philosophy of Docker. So it creates for you Docker, in fact, plays the role of a cluster. Docker is a cluster. I see it as a cluster, which provides you with a network. This infrastructure itself. All these containers, they have their own IP addresses. Docker is a cluster, but we don't have access outside of this cluster. This is a good and a bad. It's a good that offers you isolation, but is our situation when we want to communicate with outside world. And each Docker container could be exposed to outside world on a certain port. You say, for example, okay, expose to 5001, expose port 80 of this container. This is how you create the link between the outside world and the Docker bubble. But as you can see, you can log into each one of these containers and feel free to break whatever it's necessary. I'm just throwing ideas right now. So I can log into each one of these containers. Okay. Let me actually I should have three containers. One is our identity server, another one is our MVC client, and the third one is the database, right?
Yeah.
So I can log into the database. This is actually how I usually manage the database inside using the command line interface tools to connect to the Microsoft. Docker exec minus 18. Listen, we just have to stay in the loop. We just have to continue and keep the momentum. Even though we don't have a solution right now, we should keep talking to each other. Do you understand? This is only the way you stay in the loop. Otherwise, it slips out of your mind. But this also is good for me, for you. What do you think? I think this is the
Yeah.
only way to do it.
Well, yeah, this is my goal, and at the minute I'm trying everything to resolve this issue,
Hmm.
and I'm really desire to
Hmm.
solve it.
Yeah, I think the problem. Let me see if I have a ping here. No, no. They cut everything to the bone. But at least apt get the package manager which allows you to install everything. It's there, and you can get say apt Get, actually, why not? Let's do it in this container. Um,
It's gonna die anyway.
yeah, it's
So
gonna buy anyway. Install pink. What did you say? Apt-get install pink. Could not open log file. Var lib d package log frontend open. Permission denied.
yeah, because you
Ah,
don't have
yeah, I
internet.
have to be su. Su because I'm not. Let me do this. Sudo su ah su apt get install pink.
Try to sudo get stopping.
Sudo apt get install pink.
No.
Sudo command not found. They cut everything to the bone. I don't know. I'm not sure. They base.
Maybe we should find a container which like Ubuntu container,
Yeah,
and then we can ping the other containers
yeah,
if we run them
definitely,
together.
definitely. I can run Ubuntu. Uh, mm, I have Ubuntu. I have to run two more containers, and after that I can run Ubuntu. Mm, Docker network. The Ubuntu I have actually is using volumes. So this is what I'm calculating right now. ls. Yeah, probably. I don't want to mess
But
around with my production
you have
containers, do you know?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because it's dangerous to me. I may lose other projects which I have on PHP, Python, and other languages. So that's why it's a little bit risky to me. But if you want to try it, please go. Feel free to go ahead and do it. I'm just,
Yeah, because I think we have everything, and only the network setup on Docker is stopping us.
yeah,
That's
hmm
what I'm thinking.
yeah. I think they know about each other. That's for sure. You're giving a specific IP address to the ping, so I I'm absolutely sure they can ping each other. They cannot resolve names because localhost 5001. Hmm, how it's possible when this is running on my machine and it works perfect, but when I put it in a Docker container, it doesn't work anymore. And as you said, even Google doesn't recognize it, doesn't doesn't redirect back.
I think it's just isolating the container inside, and you cannot get out.
Hmm.
And because you're first building identity server, you're able to access it, but then you cannot access anything else.
Yeah. Okay, Docker inspect. Right now we will see all the containers. I don't want to risk Docker. Uh, okay, so I know the IP addresses. They're probably assigned by the HTTP server. Inside there is a DNS server, or I'm not 100% sure. We have to check this as well. Docker DNS system or something. But definitely we should be able to find information because Docker is open source software. Somebody should be able to answer this question. Um, but if you like, go ahead and try that. And as I said, another possible way to go is try to recreate what Microsoft has. Try to understand, I also will do that. Try to understand how they set up their identity server into this project which they offer together with the book. You know about this. It's a
Yeah,
store with t-shirts, whatever. What is it there?
I'll definitely run this.
Yeah, and when you hit login, actually, it redirects you to their identity server. It doesn't work on my machine. Maybe it's gonna work on yours. I don't know. but at least I have been redirected to a very unique, a very interesting domain name. Why do they need such interesting thing? Why they don't do it simply with localhost blah blah? Why they do it with uh, notice this, notice the URL and how they do it. Maybe there is a extra settings in the Docker containers, in the Docker Compose file, which we also have to do. So we have to study carefully their application. I think this
Yeah.
is the key.
Yeah, I'll definitely do it today.
I just don't have space on my machine. In order to run our project or first run their project, I have to make a major cleanup on my Docker containers, but I have production containers a lot, and I cannot do that. I have only 20 gigabytes left on my NVMe, and I just cannot afford actually to do it because when you run their application, it 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 occupies almost 10 gigabytes. Try it and you'll see. Maybe by yourself, you'll see. It takes about 10 up to 15 gigabytes, as far as I remember, when you run their application because they download so many different images and it takes too much space. But your your computer is better. You can try it on your machine. Okay, so do you have any questions? We'll continue the struggle. That's it. There is no other way around it.
Well, I don't have a question, but I'm glad that you give me some uh, ways, so
Hmm.
I can try that ways and see if it's gonna happen. Actually, I'm also thinking to record it while I'm putting that together. So
Hmm.
if it's happened, then I can send it to you
Hmm.
and you see it as well.
Yeah, maybe on your machine recording is not such a big deal. On my machine is a huge deal. It
No, I'm looking now. I have 400 gigabytes on my NVMe right now, free space.
Oh, you have more than enough. By the way, you can take notes. I always do. You open one
Okay.
file and you write down all the steps you have been taking because with Linux is like that. Look at me. This is what I do. And I put here one and I say, for example, apt get, or I copy from the console and I put it here. That's why I like the console because I can copy and write down each step which I do. But this is just in case you find a solution. Otherwise, it's not worth it probably to waste your time just copying everything what you're trying. But if you think something is important, you record this way, and of course, you can make a tutorial as well.
Yeah, I'll just record how the microservice is creating from the book, and hopefully I'm gonna figure out how to do our application as well.
Hmm. Okay, so I'm gonna stop recording now. As I said, there is no meat into this tutorial, but this is not a tutorial. Actually, this is not a tutorial. It's a meeting. We have to keep track. We have to leave traces in our thought process. There is no other way around it. But we have to stay on the track. We have to stay and be persistent, even though we don't have a solution. It happens very often in the development process. You don't have a solution. You're using the cutting edge technology. Nobody else on the planet has a technology. That's why the companies actually like to use something which is well established because there is so much information, the people already face this problem, and it's not that risky. You can go relatively fast through all this process, but we are not going this way. We are taking the risky way, which I think it's is the best.
Yeah.
We are the pioneers. Okay. So I'm gonna stop now.